Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio's first Friday Toast of the Arts and Park show with Nancy and Lisa, the publishers of Big Blend Radio and TV magazine, as well as Parks and Travel magazine. And of course, we're full-time travelers on the Love Your Parks tour, documenting parks and public lands across the country. Now, we document parks and public lands and their communities, but there's a whole bunch of artists that get out there and stay in a park for a month and get to create. And they make amazing work, whether it's music, pottery, painting, multimedia, all filmmaking, photography, you name it, they're out there doing it. And it's all through the National Parks Arts Foundation. And we're always so excited. Our first Friday show every month, this is it. The first Friday is dedicated to parks and the arts. And we do it with the National Parks Arts Foundation. And we've been doing this for a few years now, and it's been so cool. And I didn't realize how many years until today. As we record this, today's show is dedicated to Dry Tortugas National Park. So imagine this, you get to go on an island, your own island. It's known as Loggerhead. You have your own island and you get to create on your own tropical island for a month. You have to have another person with you because you're on your own. You really are. They bring you in on a boat and you're bringing all your food that you need for a month. There's no grocery store runs, none of that. There's no bar down the street. None of that happens. But you do have sea turtles. You have amazing sunrises, sunsets. You have the ocean. You have so much history that's there. And so a lot of artists apply for this unique experience. There is no experience other than that, and that's through the National Parks Arts Foundation. So I don't care if you are a writer, a painter, a poet, be a priest, I don't know what it is, but if you are a creative person, check out this opportunity. Go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org. There's nothing like this. You get to stay for 1 month on this island, and it's not that easy though. So we're very excited today because we have a reunion of almost everyone that has done this experience, which starts all the way back to 2015. But first, before we bring all the artists on, we're going to bring Tonya Ortega, who's the founder of the National Parks Arts Foundation. And by the way, for Dry Tortugas, for visitors going there, you got to check that out too. It's nps.gov/DRTO. That's for the park. And then for National Parks Arts Foundation, I got to give them another shout out, nationalparksartsfoundation.org. But welcome back, Tonya Ortega. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm calling in from Hawaii.
I know.
So,
we're going to play Hawaii music at the end of the show because, you know, we kind of balance it all.
She's
but
so
listen,
lucky.
This is so, I mean, when I talk about this at the introduction, I you know, all my notes go out the window because this is so unique. There's no other artist residency like this, really.
There is absolutely no residency that I know of. One could have come up in the last week or so that is like this, and it is the most remote, off-grid in the national park system. I mean, it is an incredible experience. And as some of the artists know, I've shown up to Dry Tortugas, not as much as I would like to. It is idyllic. I thought, but I was only there for a few days. And the reason that we started this one is there is such a history at Loggerhead Key and at the park itself that needs to be shown to people through art. And there is no other way, I am convinced, and it does not take that much convincing, to show the public what is there. And I have to give a shout out to the National Park Service that's there. They have been great. They've been so good with the artists and the program, and thankfully we've had sponsors that are able to support this too, and hopefully more sponsorship in the year to come. And I have to also give just a huge shout out to the artists. They have spared no expense to make sure that they're able to get there. They pay for their own food. And it is not an easy task to go somewhere for a month and to be able to know what to bring and everything that's involved while being creative. So it is an incredible adventure as far as I can tell, and I can't wait to hear the stories, but it does take a lot of persistence and a lot of patience for the artist.
And
so we started it because it's an incredible place. It's an incredible place, and it needs this kind of communication. Art reaches everybody.
But this is something that was so huge about with the artists being there, is that art transcends and goes globally, and our guests today are around the world. Loggerhead Key is not something that everyone as a park visitor is going to get to see, right? So this is, their art is one of the best ways we can experience Loggerhead Key.
Exactly. So one of the reasons, and there's many reasons why there is not a lot of footprint on Loggerhead Key. There's the Tortugas, there's the lighthouse, there's all kinds of things. So most visitors, and I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I think at the most they were bringing 9 people a day to Loggerhead Key, and I don't even know that happens every day. And I think the artists will really be able to tell us how many people actually show up, and it fluctuates because it's it's an important area, the environment, everything that goes on there. And some of our artists too apparently have worked with the scientists there, with the tortugas and the eggs and all kinds of things.
And the amount of going underwater, above water, we're going to talk a lot about that. So I'm going to bring some of the artists on. And Tanya, you rock, man. You totally rock. You know that, right? You know, we've talked over the years.
Oh, thank you.
I remember the very first conversation we had. You're like, I'm literally over a volcano. I'm like, what? I'm in Yuma on the wetlands. Like, I got egrets and you got lava. Like, there's a difference. But this was so cool. And so, just even covering this with the artists over the years has been so special. But we have not chatted with Artist-Anna-Glynn over in Australia. Anna, she is amazing. Nancy, you and I were looking at her video work, right, today. And her art as well.
Very cool.
Everyone go to Anna-Glynn. It's ANNA Glynn, GLYNN, because you can spell it in different ways. AnnaGlynn.com. So Anna is an award-winning contemporary Australian artist, and she's connecting in from Australia. So she went from Australia. I don't know. Maybe she went from California. I don't know. But she's in Australia now, and her partner, who's a biologist and a scientist, art worker and curator, Peter Dalmazzo, went out in the island, and they were the very first ones who signed up for this. So Anna, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa.
You were the guinea pigs, the two of you.
The test pilot, the guinea pigs. Cool. That we were a bit unsure of what we were going to encounter, but we like adventure. So yeah, we got on a plane from Australia and flew all that way and got on a boat, and they dropped us off and left us.
They're this like, is hello, crazy, but bye-bye. This is interesting going from Australia. Like, so I understand, like, living in America and going, okay, I know what food I want. I know, Denessa, we had a whole conversation about this. And Shannon, I know we've all talked about the food situation, about taking your food, right? But like, you're from Australia, so like, did you bring Marmite with you? I just want to know if you brought Marmite.
No Vegemite or Marmite. No, that wasn't on the list. Our main thing was trying to find fresh fruit and vegetables that would last almost the whole time.
That's hard.
Yeah, romaine lettuce lasted 3 weeks.
And cabbage.
Cabbage, we ended up with leftover cabbage.
No.
It was on special by the last week.
That makes me think it's not a food.
Yeah. That's, well, it's weird. Like, even as we travel, we're like, okay, we're going to transport salad and lettuce across the country. Like, we're going to take this from Florida to Wisconsin. How long will it last? It does, because it's cold in Wisconsin. But it's you really have to go into that whole thing. But you were the first ones. Were you nervous about it? And what appealed to you to do it in the first place?
Look, I found the link and sort of raced down, and because my husband, he works up the other end of the house, and sort of said, look at this, this looks great, do you want to go? And he said, oh yeah, okay, let's apply. So we didn't hesitate to apply, and it's a great opportunity you know, to see a part of the world that is just so special. And as you've said about the history and the place it has an aura about it as well, that you can feel the layers of history when you were there.
Yeah. And did you feel any kind of connection back to Australia in that way? In regards to, Australia's got a good connection to the ocean, the desert, Australia is kind of like, I feel Australia and America are connected and very connected to South Africa, our roots too of living. But did you feel any connection back to Australia?
Yeah, in some ways, because, you know, that whole coastal thing and snorkeling, and that's just something that, because I'm on the east coast of Australia, so that's just something that you do every summer. So I think the elemental thing of the water, that connection, and the fish and weeds and seaweeds, and it's just beautiful. Yeah.
It's awesome.
The birds were what I really found amazing, because when we arrived about a week in, the migration of the small songbirds arrived on the island.
Cool.
So it was like a Disney movie. I was just walking around with my arms up in the air, looking at all the different little beautiful birds. And then a couple of days later, the migratory predatory birds arrived, and it was like carnage. You know, you'd see this little beautiful bird flying up in the air, and then this big, you know, hawk or something would fly down, and just be a bunch of feathers flying as it got eaten. So it was when the second migration came through, it was carnage. But that's tooth and claw, that's life, that's how things exist.
The more you go out in the wilderness, the more you understand that is wildlife. And I wonder if that's how we are as human species when you see it in art. And I want to bring everybody else on, but get into talking more about birds and also your imagery with Above and Below that is now in the Australian Parliament House Art Collection. And we watched some of clips of that. And you talk about birds. Oh my God, you know how to put on a dance. It's amazing. But I want to bring our next guests on, Paula Sprenger and Carter McCormick, both from Habitat Productions. It's a nonprofit, and they're calling in from Ireland today. I don't know I don't know if that's where they really live all the time, because they seem to be globe trotting and doing a lot of film work for parks, state parks. They've been to one of the places I want to go, the Okefenokee swamps. Oh my God, like I'm so jealous. But anyway, they did the Dry Tortugas, and they did an amazing, amazing film piece of that. I encourage you to go to their website, habitatproductions.org. But I'm going to introduce Paula first. Paula, welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing good, doing good. And Carter, how are you doing?
I'm great.
Good, good. So what are you doing in Ireland? Is that where you guys live? Or do you just keep traveling?
Well, I'm American and Paula is Chilean, but right now we're living in Ireland and we are shooting our third feature film, and I'm also working on my PhD as well.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
What's it?
Cool.
What's your feature film? What's it about?
So right now there's a very big controversy in southwestern Ireland regarding the proposed harvesting of 1,700 hectares of kelp forest.
Oh.
So we're trying to document that controversy and really just shed light on the kelp forest ecosystem here.
That's amazing. That's really huge, especially. Oh, I don't want to get on tangent, but does harmful algal blooms take on the kelp forest at all? Does that ever, or are they two separate things from what you've seen? Because we've covered harmful algal blooms, but I always wonder, like, do they compete, like as invasive species from the native plants in the ocean? He's like, no.
Well, what we're focusing more here is the mechanical extraction that humans are doing. Here,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't believe that there's that, like in Florida, where you get the red tide or anything like
Oh,
that.
okay.
I don't believe that West Ireland suffers from that. We do get a huge algae bloom around summer where the ocean literally turns green.
Oh,
But I don't believe it's killing anything. I don't think
Okay.
it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
But we're-
just the nutrient runoff from a lot of agricultural processes
Okay.
can go into the ocean and cause these
Yes.
huge booms of algae. So I don't think it's very destructive, but it certainly makes our filmmaking process interesting because it looks like someone just like dumped 1,000 highlighters into the ocean
Yes.
and really changes things underwater.
For
Oh,
sure.
that's interesting. That's interesting. Paula, going to Dry Tortugas, what inspired you to go on and apply? You guys were the second artist in residence there, and what made you say, okay, we're going there? We want to apply for it.
Well, I remember the year that we went, I actually found this article on Facebook, and I was like, I just kind of saw it, and I was like, Carter, we should like really do this. I know it sounds crazy. It's an island. We're gonna be alone, but it also sounds amazing. And we do wildlife films, so it was right up our
Mhm.
alley. And I believe that year, it went viral. I think there were many articles about it. So we just applied and we just crossed our fingers.
Mm.
We dreamt about it. We were so happy when we got it. But
Mm.
we pretty much, as soon as we saw it, we were like, we have to do this because it's this amazing opportunity to be in a pristine, beautiful place full of beautiful wildlife that you wouldn't necessarily find very easily in other places in the US.
Right.
Pristine coral reef, and just the whole ecosystem is so unique. So we jumped at the opportunity to apply.
And you have your film that you did, Structured Growth, which was, I love it. Nancy and I are also just,
Thank you.
you have the plant, you show how plants grow anywhere. You know, it was like, it just was so amazing to watch that. And it was just kudos to what you guys do. All of you guys, I mean, it's like we bow down to your art big time.
Thanks.
And I think what you do is, you know, everybody attaches, you know, they connect with art, or, you know, attach it to a memory or a feeling. And everyone has a different experience with art. We talk about that on the shows all the time. But what you guys have done is really showcase an area, all of you, that we don't all get to go to. And that's so important. It's so important. So many people won't be able to go to the Dry Tortugas as a whole, you know, and depending on age, finances, where they are, you know, anything. But art can get there. And I think that's one of these most, Tanya, don't you think one of the hugest things that what MPAF does with these residencies is that this art goes out globally, and
Yeah, definitely.
people can connect with
It not only goes out, it goes out globally. I mean, it's all over the world. And I mean, believe it or not, excuse me, since our very first residency, I saw her work in Lisbon, excuse me,
Wow.
after Death Valley.
Wow.
Excuse me. Wow.
Wow.
I'm getting too excited about it. But also, you know, they also have the chance to donate to the National Archives too through the parks.
Mm.
So
Wow.
it doesn't just stop in our generation; it keeps on going.
Mm.
So that's kind of super cool too.
That is cool.
That's
I
way cool.
I want to move on to Julie and Matthew Chase. I think you guys were on our show twice. They were 2017, and go to ChaseDaniel.com. Amazing husband and wife team that have also traveled all over documenting, and they do amazing work in so many like multimedia amazing work. And you guys, you I think you came on before you went, and then after you went, and you guys went during a hurricane. So
Thank you. We had so much fun visiting with you, and having the chance to do the before and after was fantastic.
I
And
know, and it's good to have you here on this reunion. I was like, oh, I'm so glad you're here, because it's so important, because the residency is, I mean, last year we went through 3 hurricanes, Nancy and I, on the road, and it is part of it, but why let that stop life?
That's right.
I mean, if everybody was worried about a hurricane in Florida, there would be no residents, right? But you guys did, yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, we're not going to live in Kansas anymore, or but everything's changing a lot quickly. But you guys went through it, and I'm so glad you're here, because I want people to understand about, it's a scary thing to go through, but there's a process. And the Park Service also, doesn't the Park Service make you go through training?
They do. You have to attend and actually graduate from FEMA emergency preparedness training, and we both have our certificates. They're not quite framed on the wall behind us right now, but they are a matter of real pride nonetheless.
Yeah, and the whole process of evacuation and during the hurricane, the Park Service was really phenomenal and responsible, and so what started as alone on an island at a certain point was in a Holiday Inn Express in near Orlando, and then back to the island. And so we really embraced the full range of the whole experience, including the evacuation and
and the cleanup. You guys were part of the volunteer work, as I remember.
That's right. It felt really meaningful to go back and be a part of just trying to bring the island back to its former glory. The buildings did fine. There was a little damage. Luckily, nothing too serious, but there was a lot of down palm fronds and coconuts, all the usual company that fall to the earth in a hurricane. And so we did a lot of work harvesting, all the detritus on the island. And that felt really meaningful to help bring it back to its capacity as a little jewel in the landscape.
Wow. It's amazing what you guys went through. I mean, it was just like, you're here, then it got changed around. Tanya, any words on this? Because I want, artists to understand when they apply that this can happen, but it's not the end of the world. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good way of putting it, Lisa.
I mean, things happen. I don't want to be, don't listen to me, but really, Tanya, you guys were on it. Like, you guys were all communicating at that time of what to do. And what was brilliant to me was like the Park Service and everybody, like the Park Service got to look after the park, but they still looked after Julie and Matthew and Julie looked after the park, and you looked after both, and everybody's working together. And even Holiday Inn hotels, I mean, even while a hurricane's going, you're going to go, like, how's the hotel going to happen? Is it going to stay there? And will I get my bagel with cream cheese in the morning? So you guys, you know what I mean? They do have, is that the one where you get the waffle or pancake? Or I can't remember which one.
There was nothing. The power was out. So we were just cooking.
Nothing. They get nothing.
Did you bring your food from the island to your hotel room and have to, like, oh, wow. Did you do that?
We brought our cabbages with us.
Yeah. We brought half our cabbages and ate them in Ocala, and then the other half we left in the refrigerator. And since it's all solar powered, the fridge was still on when we got back several weeks later, and the cabbages were still there.
So this whole show is a big promotion for cabbage. Basically, listen, cabbage producers, you need to fund NPAF for Dry Tortugas. I'm just saying.
Cabbage is one of those things, I think they're prehistoric.
It's fibrous.
Yes.
I'm just saying. I'm sure you all know that. But anyway, Tanya, going
it
back
never
to that,
leaves you. But
going through that, I mean, and you've continued the program, and the program's running and going, even during COVID. We'll talk to Shannon and, all of that too. But going through that hurricane, how did that make you feel as, the founder of this, going, oh, I want you all to be on an island? And then here it comes.
Well, we really try to make sure that people know when they're applying that hurricanes can happen. It is hurricane season, and we really maybe even overdo it on the application and everywhere. But I mean, there's nothing that we can do to control it. There absolutely is not. And people say, well, you know, can the residency be another month of the year? And that's the biggest question that we get about the residency, believe it or not. And the thing is we plan this years in advance and reserve the house. And the NPS is so nice to even let us have the housing at all when they've got a, you know, house staffed the rest of the year. But there's no way to get around it. And as you all know, the artists take, what is it called, preparedness classes, disaster preparedness classes. But Matthew and Julie went so far beyond what was expected or anybody would ever do. They really reached out to the community. They helped the community. They helped the park. They were on it. They went back and had an exhibit the next April, and they really, I mean, just there's not enough I can thank them for about that. So
I know.
It was well received.
Yeah. Do you guys still do your art thing in Santa Fe with there was like the pop-up van kind of thing with the art van? I'm just going off of my memory here, but there was like a art thing you guys were doing in Santa Fe. You know what I'm talking about, right? No? I don't know. But there was like a, I don't know.
I run a art gallery out of an old 1970 bread truck, and it's a space that shows contemporary art from New Mexico-based artists. And it's been 10 years that we've been doing that, and that continues. During COVID, of course, there's challenges, but we're adapting and continuing that. That's been...
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool, because I love that. I think, you know, art has to go in all kinds of ways, and I'm glad you're still doing that.
And before COVID started, we had begun a new project that also involved traveling. We were working on a border project about the border wall, the so-called border wall, and from San Diego all the way to Brownsville, Texas.
Oh!
But of course, COVID was the disaster that got in the way of that one, and we couldn't stay quite on mission down at the border due to COVID. It was bigger than the hurricane. It really did sweep us off course for that project, and we hope to get back to it. But it's part of the flow, like what Paula and McCormick are talking about, you know, are experiencing too, of like, or maybe all of us really taking opportunities to travel and use our practice as artists and writers to really bring something back to the communities that we live in and the world at large, to really appreciate these unique places and what they really mean and hold for all of us.
Oh, I love what you just said. I think that is so true. I think, and going to these natural places actually also buffers through these, you know, disasters, these climate disasters. You know, but we keep putting houses in places. But anyway, I don't want to get on that. I've tried to behave, but I want to bring on Denessa-Chan and Gavin Mulvay. Both of them were also in Dry Tortugas right after you, and Denessa is an amazing filmmaker, nature photographer, and Gavin, like, he's the dude who knows what to happen when a hurricane happens, or anything. Like, you know, if you want to climb a mountain, go call Gav, right? He is incredible, and both of them, and just, you know, we've had you on the show a few times, and honestly, your work there was so magnificent, of the beauty of the nature, and just even hearing, I mean, just your journey there was beautiful from our conversations and the work that came out of that. And just, you know, knowing you over social media over time, and even when I got kicked off Facebook because someone hacked me, I didn't do it. It wasn't me saying anything bad. I just watched, you know, the work you did with whales, and you know what I'm talking about with that. And just as really, you understand that natural world, the two of you. And is that why, and welcome back, Is that why you decided to do Dry Tortugas? I mean, the two of you are a team. It seems like you can go anywhere in the world, from the Arctic to New Zealand, where you're calling in from now, in a yurt. You know, I mean, listen, we got New Zealand, Australia, Ireland. We got Santa Fe, we got Hawaii, and Shannon is in Florida. I mean, and we're in Lubbock, Texas. So, I mean, we got the world covered today. But yeah, Denessa, I mean, what led you guys to do this?
I found out about the residency just found out about it, I think, within 24 hours of the deadline. So I just put together the best proposal I could at that point. I didn't actually know Gav yet at that point, and so I applied with a friend, and it was just too last minute, and she didn't quite get her materials in time. So we were selected as finalists, but obviously Matthew and Julie were the artists for that year, and so it was on our radar since then. And I said, okay, I'm just going to keep applying until this happens. And I'll just improving my materials, and, you know. That's exactly what I did. Been on my radar, and I was just really thrilled to go there. Not only because the National Parks Arts Foundation was so wonderful, and because the park itself looked so mesmerizing with its turquoise waters, and the opportunity to photograph and film not only above water, but also underwater, and to do astrophotography at night, because there's just pretty much no light pollution, since it's pretty much in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, between Florida and Cuba. But also, in addition to that, it fit perfectly on a book that I'm working on called Islands of Majesty. And I hadn't really visited an ecosystem quite like that. So it was something really wonderfully unique and beautiful to include in the book. And I wanted to also bring awareness to that ecosystem, because part of my mission through my photography and film work is to raise awareness and resources for the ecosystems and species that I'm photographing or filming. So I donate, for example, 50% of everything that I bring in, all the money I bring in, to benefit that in photos, so that I get a sense of feeling with our environment, because I think that's something that we all the decade.
It's important. I think, you know, when you think about what you're doing is, you know, this is an environment, like a fragile environment, where all of you were in Loggerhead Key, and it's important that people see what is pristine if it's untouched, and it's still touched, you know, a little bit. Like, you know, I've got to say, you know, when you look at Paula and, you know, Carter, what you guys showed was, you know, there's still that touch of human hands somewhere. You know, you did that with your work to let us show that. But I want to bring in Gav, going there for you. What was, I mean, obviously, you know, Denessa wants to go there. For you, you did some crazy stuff out there to make the filming happen. I remember there was like, you created your own kites and things to make things happen for filming. Is Gav there? Oh.
Hi.
You there? We're getting there. Oh, I don't know if he's there.
I can hear you.
Okay, you there? Yeah, I was just going to say, when you were there on the island, you did some crazy things in regards to making some of the filming work, you know, for Denessa. With you, like, created kites. I remember from that conversation, you like created a whole other filming technique, almost like.
Yeah, it's actually an old filming technique from before drones were around, and drones aren't allowed there in the national park, so it just worked perfectly to wander around with a kite with a wee camera on it and get some different angles, and got a cool shot of a tuna ball looking straight down from above, and a good shot of the lighthouse.
Did you have a good time while you were there?
Yeah, it was great.
Like it? Were you glad you went? Well, you've been all over the world. You were like, okay, I'll go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a change of scenery for me, though. Different to sort of mountains and snow and cold places or deserts. So That was great.
Yeah, yeah. And so, are you from New Zealand?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Man, New Zealand's gone through all kinds of like climatic things going on with earthquakes and things, but you make good
Yeah, they
wine.
had
Just,
yeah, there's been a lot going on the last few years.
I'm so. I hope everything turns out good. But it seems like you guys, even through COVID, got through it quicker than the rest of the world. So
Yeah, we only had sort of a month or two, and then we're back to normal. So
yeah,
I'm
you guys.
pretty lucky.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. I want to go over to Shannon. And I want to say in between time. So Denessa and Gav were there. And then there was also the mother-daughter team, Beth Williams and Haley Williams. And they're not able to make it today. And Haley's off traveling and not traveling, but doing her schooling and all kinds of things. And they were amazing. I mean, this is a mother-daughter team. And Nancy, you and I know what it's like traveling together. And, it to go on an island.
You guys say more.
Yeah, mother-daughter team going on an island and that kind of situation. I give hats off to them doing that as both, because Haley writes and she's an amazing poet and her mom's an amazing painter. They did an amazing work from that. And you can see, check out, not just see, but listen to the interview on nationalparktraveling.com to keep up with that. And then going from there was Carl Stoveland and Shannon-Torrence. They were known as the Flyting Tortuga Brothers, and we have Shannon here, which we're so glad to bring you back on the show. Shannon, welcome, your third time on here.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you back on. At least, I'm not under a towel this time while we interview you. Last time it was really interesting. But you're in Florida, so
that's correct.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really well.
Well, you know about hurricanes. We talk about hurricanes.
I've been through some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
There is an excitement to them, right?
Oh, yeah. They have parties here.
Yeah. There is something
parties.
They do. Hurricane parties.
That's why you have hurricane cocktails.
You look outside and Mama Nature goes, oh, yeah, watch this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's tough until they get a stop sign through the spleen.
Oh, that's
But
nice.
yeah, people do some crazy things here when the weather gets really bad. They want to go out. They want to see, they want to see the wind and the rain.
So what led you to be the next, artist out there on the island? You tried twice, and you got there and you guys really, you and Carl really kicked butt in like, we want to be the next ones. You were hardcore about it and you did. But yeah, why?
Let me say first that that Beth and Haley were amazing for us. Before we went. We got a lot of helpful information from them, and they're both extremely talented. And I know they can't be here, but I just want to say thank you on the record to them because they were very, very helpful for us. So I'm a native Floridian. I traveled for about 1.5 years in a truck and a travel trailer. I was sort of looking for my voice and I couldn't really find it. And when I came back to where I live in Florida, I realized how beautiful this place is, seeing it with fresh eyes. And I started painting landscape paintings, Florida landscape paintings. And when this popped up a couple of years ago, I thought, oh my, I had been out to Fort Jefferson before. And I thought, I had never heard of Loggerhead Key, but when I saw the pictures and I did some Googling and some Google Maps from above, I went, oh, I got to go here. So that's what made me apply. I just felt like it suited my work and my sense of place.
Cool. That's really cool that you say that because sometimes that's what travel's about. You realize home is where you were supposed to be, but you had to travel out to get it.
To see it, yeah.
Yeah, it is. There's a famous quote on it, and I can't remember it. I read it every day, but it hasn't happened for me yet. But anyway, it's really cool that you've done that. And now this is important. So I want people to see your art because we've talked about your light and your paintings. I love your art. And Nancy, we talk about your lighting, and we've actually just recently done a show just on lighting, going from being in
everything.
we went from Madison, Wisconsin with snow lighting to like understanding the desert, but then we have to think about Florida lighting now, actually. It's different. There's lighting, and you capture lighting in your painting that it just blows my mind. You and Dawn Waters, who does, Tanya, you know what I mean? Dawn has that too, the lighting. I know she's done other residencies, but everybody's got something different and beautiful. Going there, did it change your perspective of art, of what you're doing?
So I think Anna kind of nailed it on the head at the beginning of your show. The place does really exude a sense of time, or the passage of time. It does feel like you could be in a different time period when you're there. It impacted my work because I looked closer at the movement of water and clouds. The light there is very, very clean because basically the reflections on the clouds and the atmosphere is reflected light off the water. So very clean light, and the water, I was mesmerized by the water, of course. Everybody that's been there knows that. It's just something to behold, really. But it's impacted my work, and something about settling down and paying attention and capturing the details small, and working quickly. I did 18 paintings on the island while I was there in 30 days, which is pretty miraculous.
That's pretty
It was
good.
100 degrees, you know. But yeah, I started
That's a
putting
lot.
people and things into the art. So yeah, it changed my work completely.
Do you think it's gonna? Yeah, I mean, I just think about that change is like being somewhere like that and being so immersed in it. Would you go into another experience like this? Maybe not Dry Tortugas, but another immersive experience down the road.
So I think the island for an artist is a proving ground. At least it was for me.
It's
Sort of
like
test yourself. You test yourself against yourself. And I think once you do that and you see and you feel like you're on the right path, you don't really need to do this multiple times. And if you do, you could find your own, your own path. But what the NPAF does is absolutely amazing, because it puts you in this place where you can come to these conclusions and gives you a foundation to start working from and build your confidence. And, Nance Frank from Gallery on Green came out to the island and saw the work that was created 3 or 4 days before we left. And she now carries my work in Key West.
Awesome.
And that did so much for coming home and painting what I wanted to paint instead of painting for other people. So.
Oh,
that's a big one.
That's a huge difference.
That's a big one.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
That's
It's
huge.
about what you do. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interject, but Shannon, didn't she fly a plane out and pick you guys up or something like this? What was that? I thought it was such a special thing that she did. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
This is, this is like things they make movies about. I told her that day it was legendary. So she said she would come out to the island. She agreed because of COVID to let us do our talk after the residency from her gallery. And I thought that was we were lucky to get that. And I think she came out to see what we were going to bring back with us, to see what she had signed up for. So she took her friends on a boat, and she came out on their boat with them. So there were 3 of them, and they brought us brunch on a Sunday.
Nice.
And we had wine. We all went snorkeling together, and to take a 2.5-hour boat ride out and a 2.5-hour boat ride back just seemed to me, people say they're going to do things in this day and age and they don't, and it blew me away, so yeah, it's something like movies are made out of, I told her, and it's changed my life. Like I said, I've sold a lot of artwork since I left, and I'm making better paintings than ever.
Wow. That's amazing. That's a thing. I think there is whether you're an artist or not, there's a reckoning with yourself when you come to a challenge. You have to stand up, or you've got to accept, and you become something. And you are already something before that, but it's about the wrestling with oneself, of acknowledging it, right? And that, I think that's our common thing of a conversation with you, of this whole experience, and even the beginning of you and Carl really, you know, we're going to do this, not making it the first time, but reapplying again and coming in really strong. And I think that's something really important. This is a very unique opportunity for people. It's not run of the mill. It's not like, hello, we're sitting at a winery, you know, painting vineyards. This is on an island, your own island. It is playing Survivor with art, you know, and nature. And it's not playing, really. It's but I mean, to me, when you're doing art, it's like joy, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's joy with art, but in a compromising place that's different. And when you are put in a different place, you become something. You become yourself, because you can't go to new places and be able to sink into a new place if you don't know yourself. Period.
Yeah. On day 3 on Loggerhead Key, you suddenly realize that you are there with just 1 or 2 other people, because we had a turtle researcher with us. But you suddenly realize, okay, you're here. It's not like a normal residency where there's, you know, these group residencies where it's a social thing. That's why I call it a proving ground, because you really do get very contemplative and soul searching when you're there.
And so I want people to know about where to go to your art. It's Instagram.com Titlecroft Studio. Is that, or do you have a website? Or?
That's correct.
That's
correct.
Seriously, keep up with him, man, because his art is amazing. I want to go through everyone and just touch back. Oh, but by the way, Shannon, did you take cabbage? I didn't know cabbage was the thing. I talked about cocktails before, but did you take cabbage to the island?
No, we did take romaine, because we did we did get advice that romaine would last.
That was me.
Yeah, it was you. And we did get advice, and it worked. It really did. The romaine it was beautiful till it ran out.
Oh my God. This is so funny, because this is it. Like, as we travel the country full time, like sometimes you're in a hotel or a bed and breakfast, and then we're in a house. Cabbage. And then it's like, I'll go like, this is the salad we're taking. It's got kale and cabbage. And Nancy gives me the look like, I don't want, my butt doesn't even want it. Like, I don't want the cabbage. I'm just tired of it.
Seriously.
And I'm like, and then we have the cans of beans, and who wants the cans of beans? Like, it just gets to this point of like this balance, and that's what it's like all the time. So I'm like, I'm just thrilled that we're not the only people. But Anna, I want to go to you. Like, how does it feel listening as the first person there to all these artists that have been there after you?
Well, it's set a bit of a precedent, because Peter and I have been the guinea pigs in other residencies that followed on from that. We did one in Ireland where we were the first artist in residence, and the building had a leaking roof, and you know, it was so we're the ones that get there and do the underwater diving to unblock the outflow and start patching roofs, and it actually suits us, because Peter and I built our own home, so we're very hands-on with tools, and we like doing that stuff. So it's almost an extension of our creativity that you know, we can build stuff and fix stuff. So yeah.
Cool. And your work together, like I was saying, above and below, which I love. You posted a clip of one of your shots of that up on Instagram yesterday. We're recording now. Everyone, this is live on April 2nd. And this is part of the Australian Parliament House Art Collection. That's got to be an esteemed thing, just like being part of the National Park Service, like what Tanya talks about. Yeah.
It is. And for me, it's very interesting that the Australian Parliament House Art Collection has this US-based work as an important part of their collection, which I just love. That, you know, they they don't just collect anybody. So it was really important thing.
Awesome.
And so that means that it's showing in Parliament House intermittently where people make big decisions. So
can they look at nature and make decisions on nature? You know.
Yeah.
Do you think about that when you go out and film? And you also do such amazing work too, contemporary art. Like I was looking at your art last night. I'm like, oh my God, you feel Egyptian and ancient to me, like ancient, like I mean, old soul, like good stuff, you know, not like I'm not calling you an old lady. I'm calling like ancient good stuff, you know. Your work is
it's automatic pilot,
even though it's contemporary. You know? I know contemporary Australian, but I'm like, you're ancient. You know.
I'm really interested in history and landscape, and my dream machine would be if I could stand anywhere on the planet and sort of drill down through time and see what has been in that place and the changes over time. That's, you know, I would love to be able to do that all around the world, because I'm sure they'll invent a machine like that one day. But
there will be one. There will be one. AI is right there for you. It's waiting.
Yeah,
they have robots.
As you said, if people want to check out, there are a few clips on Vimeo, and it's just Anna-Glynn, and also on Instagram it's Anna-Glynn_artist.
Yeah, Anna is ANNA. GLYNN. She's got two N's on the Anna and two N's on the Glynn. There you go. She's a double N-er. That's it.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that you went over and, you know, from Australia. I mean, Tanya, come on. That's like awesome. Like you're going to do this NPAF residency in a unique, this is a crazy residency, right? You know it.
It is.
And then she comes over from Australia and you're like, hello. Like, oi, as I would say from my England time.
We could not pass them up for sure. So I know this is a strange little story, but it is one that stays in my mind. Anna, are you allowed to talk about, can you talk about the visitors that showed up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I was meant to mention that. On our second morning, we had a knock on the door, and there was a guy, well, there's two guys at the door, and one could speak a little bit of English, and he was sort of beckoning to us. And so we followed him, and there was 28 Cuban migrants or refugees, I'm not sure what you call them, that had arrived in the middle of the night. And so we, used the walkie-talkie and let national parks know that we had visitors. And then we got milk and, not cabbages, but biscuits and things to feed them, and water. And we had to entertain them for a few hours. And my husband's a good singer, and he's in a few choirs. So he actually knew some Cuban folk songs. So we were all sitting under the trees with Peter standing up, serenading them, and they were singing along.
That's funny.
And then they gave him Cuban money at the end of the song.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh no. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
That's a tip.
I remember.
But you have to think of the big picture, because part of that, my thing with the place was the migration. I was talking about the birds before. So the island is an important part of human migration as well. So changing people's lives as they are, attempting to go to a new country. So, the layers of stories and histories that are just embedded in that tiny little island, pirates, all sorts of stuff. It's just amazing.
Cool. It is pretty cool. The history of that island, there's a natural beauty, but the history, so many people came there, so many people stopped and did stuff. And it's like, you could write books forever on just what I could see. And you guys lived it, and you're standing in the place where people did stop off, and pirates, and people were doing immediately. That story is incredible. And I think there's something important also on this whole thing. People's DNA, like, do you guys find this, like, as being, artists in nature, animals and birds come back to the same place every year. They know, even if they weren't born there, to go there. It's part of their DNA. And I feel that with people. I'm not trying to be political, but I just feel that we have that too. And again, not being political, but I'm just saying there's this thing that happens. And like,
I think we have that, but as humans, we're cynical and skeptical of that within ourselves. We recognize it within animals, that that they can travel thousands of miles and find the same swampland and wetland to have their babies. And where I live here, we've got eels in the creek, and they swim a couple of thousand miles to mate, and then their babies come back up the creek. But we don't kind of acknowledge that in ourselves as humans, or trust that we have that ability. We sort of see it as like science fiction or something really hippie or out there, which it's a strange thing that we impose on ourselves.
When you are out on an island like, Loggerhead, that's where you get to not be bombarded with, at this point, especially now, I think this is why this residency is so crucial for an artist, is that there's art, like whether you're writing music or painting, like some artists and musicians will go into their person that, like, if they'll listen to music that they want to create a certain album, and then that album or that person is that they're listening to is going to now direct their album, because they're influenced so much by it. So now you're not creating, could be influenced, and now you screwed up your stuff in a way. So when you go on an island and, like, you don't have social media, you're off of the grid, basically, that you are at the purest form of what you can do. Did you find that, Anna, for you when you were there?
Yeah, I think so. I think the isolation and being away from distraction and being able to literally immerse yourself, because you're in the water, because it's so hot that I'm not sure if all the other artists in residence that came after did the same thing as us, but hung out underneath the pier in the middle of the day, because that was the only way you could stay cool. So you just bob around in the water. Yeah, it's a strange thing to be away from everyone and to know that the rest of the world exists, but you are apart from it. But we had the walkie-talkie, so you kind of know that you can.
You're
connect.
not dead. You're not like often, like, you're not going to die you're not on a walkabout in the desert in Australia not knowing where you're going. Like, you still have help. You have help. So Paula and Carter, when you were there, did you hang out under the pier with a cabbage?
we left all our cabbage at home.
Yeah.
Really?
Good.
We had a strict no cabbage policy out there.
There it is.
Well, we focus more on bringing, like, dry and canned goods and stuff that would not expire. I think the only vegetables we brought were a bag of kale, a lot of carrots, and onions.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because they can do a lot. So for you guys, like, did you feel that I know you go out into nature and do a lot of filming. And your film work is amazing. Did you feel like that, like we're talking about, that no influence, just film what's there and really get that source? Because what you did, I thought, was amazing too, with structured growth, where you showed, okay, we still have growth here, even though it's desolate, right? Like, you still showed it. That was this interesting, like, the land will still take us over in one way, and at the same time, what are we doing to the land? You brought it, like, that film, it's 6 minutes, and it will make you think, and make you admire the beauty of nature and the strength of her. So like going there, did you feel like you're totally, and do you go like that with, when you go out to film, do you clean your head of everything and just look at what's going, or are you going with I'm doing this? Let me just get down to that. Because to me, like filming what you film, I'd be like, I want to get everything,
Well, for Dry Tortugas was kind of, in a way, our first taste of off-grid serious filmmaking, because though we had started Habitat Productions before, it wasn't that long before, and we had filmed one state park and we had just like kind of filmed, but Dry Tortugas was our first real experience where we like really submerged into a location. So it was a big learning experience for us, and for us it was very life-changing as well, because I remember coming out of Dry Tortugas with this new found sense of we're really committed to wildlife film. Like this is exactly what we need to be doing, and we just felt very connected to what we were doing. Like it was just the right thing. And then from that, we decided to do a feature film, our first feature film, which is called The Wild Connection. You can see it. It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it.
And with that project, we traveled to 5 different state parks, and we very much wanted to keep that sense of we're off grid, we're in the land. We worked with a bunch of parks, and they let us stay in the park with our RV for a month. So it was kind of an imitation of Dry Tortugas in a way, because we got to live for a whole month in these beautiful parks like Okefenokee, like you said.
Oh, dude.
For example, yeah, that was amazing. Okefenokee, so
I'm sorry,
beautiful.
but it's been like a bucket list since I was a little kid and living in Africa, wanting to go there. So like I'm still like mad at myself for not being there, but we'll get there.
You have to go. It's beautiful. That's one of the best places we visited, and that was definitely, it wasn't off grid, but we were also disconnected from Wi-Fi. And then we went to Antelope Island in Utah, which was totally off grid, off a generator, no Wi-Fi, nothing, for a whole month, with crazy heat of like 120 degrees sometimes in the middle of July. But all these experiences, I feel, were kind of mitigated, and they were made easier because we had gone through Dry Tortugas, which is so intense. Really, it's kind of a crazy experience because you have to make your water, you have to make sure your electricity lasts the whole day. You have to make sure you're safe because you're alone. And then when you're filming, you're out. We filmed a lot. Carter filmed so much underwater. We scuba dived while we were there. We brought air tanks. He brought his BCD. And a lot of it was just really out there in the ocean. So
you guys learned your stuff. You learned. But these are tools. These are tools to fuel you forever, being like that. I want to ask you is what you both do, filming nature. And Nancy and I have talked about this for years, and going through Africa and filming, and Nancy filming, and knowing friends filming. There's a thing about filming wildlife and just sitting back and waiting. And even now, like the Audubon Society and everyone's saying, stop playing bird noises to the birds. You know what I mean? There's this whole thing where people are always trying to make the wildlife they're in a wild land, move towards their camera, basically. So can you speak on that a little bit of what you do? Because it's like there's a responsibility, I think, to our natural world, if we're there filming them, to stand back and take their patience.
There's this huge ethical question with wildlife filmmaking in what impact the filmmaker is actually having on their subject matter. Mm-hmm. So, there is this observer effect and the potential to alter their behaviors in ways that you don't want to. And wildlife filmmaking in the past has really come from putting dead animals with M&Ms in their carcasses to get like fakery. I mean, the amount of fakery in wildlife films is unbelievable. but the patience of it and getting out there and doing it right in an ethical way is like similar to hunting almost, that you don't want to be detected and you're trying to track these animals. So there's definitely a ethical question about what you're imposing there and finding the animals in a way that does not alter their behavior.
And when you're living in their habitat, I think that's almost the best if you're doing it responsibly, like what you're doing in Dry Tortugas. And with that, I want to move forward. I don't want to say everybody go to habitatproductions.org, but Denessa and Gav, you guys have done this around the world too. You understand what I'm talking about. These the responsibility of Dry Tortugas does come with that, and
absolutely
don't be one of those. You know what I mean? I'm watching my language. I'm behaving. So, you know what I mean? So that's the whole part of what you do as filmmakers, is to show this beauty that people may not be able to experience, but you're not going to hurt the beauty while you do it. So tell us a little bit about that for you, going out there and what is it like a day shooting wildlife, patience wise, Denessa, for you guys?
Oh, for us, I thought you were still talking with, okay, yes.
No.
It's funny hearing different people's experiences on the island, because for me, and it was not so different from what we normally do in terms of being out and being in the presence of wildlife. So you just get really good at being still, and you get really good at reading animals, because you at the very, very, very first sign of discomfort, you want to be able to back off or make a move with your own body language that signals to the wildlife that they are safe, that this is their territory, this is their home. So yeah, it's a skill set that you develop along the way, and I think the only way you can develop it is by spending the amount of time necessary working with those particular animals. Also, we were really, really, really fortunate to be able to document some sea turtle research that was happening on Loggerhead Key, and that was my dream going there ahead of time. And we didn't know ahead of time whether or not there would be researchers on the island, but to my delight, there were. And so we got a permit in order to be able to work with the sea turtles and document the work that was being done to research their egg laying and their hatching rates. And it was incredible. We got to go and follow 2 different species and go from surveying the nests and seeing the eggs, seeing how many hatched and how many were preyed upon and how many didn't hatch. And there were oftentimes there would be these little baby sea turtles who for some reason or another couldn't quite exit the nest. And so the researchers would take them to a safe place, and they would release them at a appropriate time of the day, akin to what they would do in the wild. And so I got to go and photograph and film them as they were leaving the sand and entering the water, and to go from above water to underwater to just swimming out
Wow.
very, very far distances with them was just magical. And it's something that is so special, that's so rare, and so few people have the opportunity to do. It was just incredible. But even, with them, I was very aware of how my presence might be affecting with the sea turtles' decisions of where to go, and were they seeing me as a potential predator and afraid? So I would position my body so that I was never between them and the open ocean. Except there was a certain point when one of the sea turtles got confused and started heading back into land, and I was like, should I intervene? Should I not? So I kind of photographed and filmed them from the side, and you can see, you can actually see a split level photo of the historic lighthouse in the background and the sea turtle.
Oh, I know what
underneath.
you mean. Yeah.
But then thankfully the sea turtle decided, oh wait, I'm going the wrong direction, and it went out. Yeah.
It's so wild because, like, you know, filming nature is so important, and it's like this land, like, and then you think about everyone going into parks that just want to go with their cell phone, or, you know what I mean? It's like we have to balance that off, and that's why I wanted to bring it up about people also going into parks on a daily basis. And what are we doing? Playing bird sounds and bird things and sounds, and like, hey, let me tap this to make an animal look around, to have that awareness. Julie and Matthew, I wanted to bring you back on with that, because you guys have also traveled a lot with what you do with your work, and you have this amazing observation and how you put the art together, but this observation of the small things. And I think that's something that a lot of us could really learn in life, is observing like every little part of nature with what your work is, what you do.
Yeah, for us, I think it was really special to be in one small area for an extended period of time like that, and without, you know, email, social media, news, anything but the rhythm of the sun coming up and going down, and the tides, and it allowed us to do that deep looking into what tiny things are crawling in the sand, or what the tide brings in each day. We would walk, you know,
that would be your news.
Perimeter.
It was like, this is the tide. This is the tide is the news. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a beautiful point that you're making, Lisa, is that attention to the small and the intimate. And for me, as a poet, like, the beauty of that is the microcosmic element of the small, and the kind of isomorphic or fractality of the small, and how, you know, Blake, of course, said it best, of the world being in a grain of sand, but really we're all standing on the shoulders of giants. And the spirit there is similar, which is that there's so much, you know, if we do, as Matthew says, spend time looking, really looking deeply, what do we see? And how does the intimacy of that experience awaken us to a world that is really, frankly, infinite, you know? And how then can we express that to draw people in to share that experience in a way that is inspiring and insightful and healing, really? And when you're doing it in nature, it's healing for the planet as well as for the soul. And there's a certain beauty also there of that kind of intimacy of exchange, that we're having this very small personal experience, but in the meantime, really trying to surrender to the practice as a healing, you know, and a song really for the planet.
Oh my gosh. Dang. I don't even want to talk. I don't have nothing to say after that. Damn it. I know Nancy's like, good. She'll shut up for a while now. Damn it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's true. It's really true. It's really true. Shannon, you being out there, I mean, you got to think about, everyone's been there like a few years before you. You're the most recent one, you and Carl, and you went out there with paint and like, let me plein air paint. I'm just saying. That's
so ants, sand, wind, sun, everything was against you. The paint's drying too fast, or it's drying too slow with the humidity. Yeah, I would paint until about noon.
You took oils or acrylic?
I took acrylics.
Okay.
Oh, see, you can't.
Well, you can't do oil either. I know, that's why it's interesting. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. I took golden acrylics, and I would paint until about noon, And then on my way back to the keeper's house, I would sort of scout another location for the next day. And then I would finish the painting on the porch. And if it poured, which it did for about a week while we were there, because we had a hurricane pass, I would paint on that porch, which I slept on the porch because I slept outside most of the time we were there, about half the time we were there.
Oh, nice.
So my studio, I called it the Porch Studio, and where I slept, so I could be sort of immersed even more into nature. So you wake up in the middle of the night and you can see that sky. And and are a way for people that see the paintings or purchase the paintings to feel that place, or if that place resonates with them, it's like they get to keep that too. So it's funny, I send work to like Maine and Vermont and Oklahoma and these really strange places, but people really love the Keys and the islands and the nature that exists there, and they could be divers or sailors and they send me little notes when they get the piece. Oh, I framed it, I hung it at the bottom of my stairs so I could see it before I go to work every day. So
nice.
It's a bit of nature in their busy lives.
Oh, that's nice. That's a great way to end this. And I know we've run over time because this is just so cool what you guys all did. Really, I hope you guys all go into another adventure like this. And it is like Survivor with art, not the Survivor the TV show, but it is like Survivor the TV show, but with art, and not the stupid, like, kill each other on a contest thing. But it is amazing. And Tanya, I have to bring you back on this. I mean, look at this. Listen to this. I mean, it's amazing what you have created with the National Parks Arts Foundation. You've got to be like pretty darn thrilled about what is going on in the world with this residency, because it is transformational.
I really am. Yeah. And I mean, I hate to say it, but really the heavy lifting is done by the artists. So I can be as thrilled as I want, but I'm not really the one doing the artwork. So
no, but honestly,
they really,
I mean, this is something that goes on and on. That's why I say about the arts, it always just goes on and on. It's like the thing that keeps giving, and it's up to us to accept it into our lives and also keep supporting the arts. Because if we don't have the arts, we suck as a society. So
alrighty then.
No, well, that's true. We do. We suck without the arts. But I wish we could talk more and more with you all, but like obviously we can't. But thank you all for joining us. I want to make sure we go back through everyone and get everyone's website out. So Anna-Glynn over in Australia, it's AnnaGlynn.com. It's ANNAGLYNN.com. She's got two N's in both sides. But Anna, thank you so much for calling in from Australia, and I hope you go on another residency somewhere so we can follow you.
Yeah, well, I'm meant to be in 250 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle in Lapland, but that's been postponed.
Oh, well, please keep us posted. Anything you do, you call us. Like, seriously.
I will.
Thank you. Us. Please.
And lovely to chat with everyone. I wish if we could all meet, and I'd like to invite you all to my place for a cup of tea.
I want to go. Like, why can't we all, like, we need to have like a real, like, I don't know, but Tanya, can't you have like a party at the island just for one night?
Hey,
the tribe has spoken.
Do it in Santa Fe. Come on. I know Matthew and Julie know how to throw a party in Santa Fe, right? They've got a pop-up bread wagon, art wagon.
That's true too. That's
Come
true
on.
too.
Yeah, but then again, Paula and Carter are in Ireland, and who knows how to throw a party? Ireland.
We'll bring some whiskey.
That's it. I mean, come on, everyone. HabitatProductions.org. Go check out. Everyone's art here is phenomenal. Like, what they do is phenomenal. I mean it. Please go check it out. HabitatProductions.org. What they're doing is amazing. Beautiful. You make me just like want to be better and better at what I do. So thank you both. Paula and Carter, and also Anna. The photography you put up, Anna, with the shark in the background of the fish. What are those yellow fish, by the way? What are those?
Oh, I can't. Oh, it was a very simple little name. And Peter's not here to tell me what it was. But that was lovely because the little fish, I didn't see the shark. Peter didn't tell me about it. So I was filming the little yellow fish and feeling very safe. And all of the fish, these fish just, swam past en masse, and I thought, oh, something's happening. And it was only later when I was downloading the video and checking it, and he went, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you.
Safety first.
Now that's funny.
I love that. That's the best. That is the best. Oh my God, I love that. All right, so Denessa-Chan and Gavin Mulvay, you keep up with Denessa. Go to Denesa-Chan-Photography.com. That's Denesa Chan-Photography.com. Have I got that right, Denessa?
Oh, actually, there's a new one. It's just Denessa. I thought I'd simplify it, and I got the URL, so it's just denesa.com. And also, if you love Loggerhead Key and nature, you might really love Amara, the Song of the Whales, which is a feature-length documentary that happened. I was asked to be the underwater cinematographer and swim with humpbacks, but that happened directly because of this residency. So cannot thank you enough. Yes, because the filming that I did on the island, I just was doing it for myself to explore and to show people and help us all connect. And then that ended up being the basis for my work sample that I showed to the producer and director, and they loved it, and we all hit it off, and that took me on this whole other journey. So yeah, check out Amara, the Song of the Whales as well. And I'll put this on my website as well, but I've started something called Empathy Bank, which is a way for us all to help increase global empathy levels. So I won't get too much into that, but empathy levels can be changed, and we can all help do that.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. And Amar, honestly, I saw the beginnings of what was happening, and beautiful. And I sent it to people, actually, the link to that. I sent it to, we were doing a show of, it's a peace garden in Washington, and they were talking about the whales going by. I was like, well, you need to know about this, because they actually ring a bell, and the whales come by at that time with the bell. Anyway, it's weird.
Oh, wow.
It has to do with this music and I'm like, you need to know this. And anyway, it's a spirit garden. I'll send you the link to them, because I sent them the link to you. So I'll send that to you. But it's like, it was so cool. I was like, you need to know.
Thank you.
But awesome what you're doing. You're always just this enlightening being. And thank you, Gab, for joining us too, and doing film cameras and kites and all kinds of things that you do. It's amazing. Julie and Matthew, is ChaseDaniel.com the best place for everyone to keep up with you?
It sure is. Thanks for asking, Lisa. Appreciate it. Yep, ChaseDaniel.com. And of course, Matthew is the co-creator of Axel Contemporary, which is at axelart.com.
That's it. That's what I wanted. Axel, that's the art wagon that goes around.
Yeah, Axel Contemporary, axelart.com, AXLEART. And if you go to the ChaseDaniel.com, there's a link there to a button for Julie and Matthew collaborations, and that's where you can see our new cyanotype, large-scale cyanotypes of the border wall project that we were working on.
I want to
this time last year.
Yeah, we want to connect with that on that. We lived on the border, in Arizona and San Diego, and we lived right over the border. We'd love to connect further with you on that.
Yeah, have a look at it. It's
yeah, you guys rock. You guys rock, and we'll see you when we come back through Santa Fe again, because we're Tanya, I'm making plans right now to go to Fort Union. You know that.
Oh, beautiful. Stay in touch. Oh, we'd love to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us a call when you're coming through.
We will, but Tanya, we're gonna do Fort Union. It's a. Listen, if NPAF is somewhere and we're going there on our if we have to do a detour, we're doing it, because, like, you know, NBA.
Fantastic.
Listen, Fort Union is one of the places, like Chaco. We went to Chaco, Aztec ruins. We haven't been to Hawaii or Dry Tortugas yet. Like, we still think you should let us be like the artist in residence for a month. But, you know, apparently we have to still run a business.
I want to too.
You know, but like, well, then you run our business while we do Dry Tortugas. How does that work for you?
Oh, I want to be an artist in residence also. But hey, I need to do a shameless plug here really quickly. I just want everybody to know that for this year, 2021, we have the latest deadlines that we've ever had, and they are on April 5th. So, you know, we pushed it back, and because of COVID, we're not getting as many applicants as usual, but it's in, you know, just a few days. So I needed to say that. And I especially just want to thank the Park Service, the National Park Service at Dry Tortugas again. So thank you.
Absolutely. Everybody get off your butts. Just do it. You know what? I think COVID has taught us all one thing: live your life. So if you're an artist of all realms, art, right? Filmmaking, poetry, music, pottery, textiles, I mean, you name it, painting, you know, do it, apply, go challenge your life. If you've been in COVID land and stuck in an apartment for an entire year, you need to go on an island. That's what I'm saying.
It's totally COVID safe out there.
It is.
COVID on the island.
And you get coconuts, you make it a hurricane, but who cares? You get an island and you get to create without social media ding, 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 dings in your life. Who doesn't want a month without any ding, ding, dings? I don't. I want it. I would love it. I want it. Shannon, did you love not being around ding, ding, ding notifications on your phone and ding, ding, dings on your computer? I mean, it's got to be amazing. Hard at first, but nice. I know you liked it. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. All right. Well, anyway, everyone, thank you for joining us. Everyone, keep up with the National Parks Arts Foundation. Go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org. And we're going to close with the song Underwater, Above Water from Makana. I know this is from his album. Are you back, Shannon? Did you just come back? Did I hear that?
I made it back.
You made it. Okay. I just wanted to say, was it good to be on the island without ding, ding, ding notifications on your phone or computer?
It was absolutely, it was probably the most amazing artist experience of my life so far. And it's gonna last a lifetime.
See? It's worth getting him back on the line. So here it is, Instagram.com/title-croft studio. Keep up with Shannon on Instagram. Thank you all so much. National Parks Arts Foundation.org is your website. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. We do our first Friday show is always dedicated to arts in the parks. And so keep up with us there. And here we're going to play Underwater, Above Water from Makana, and you can keep up with Makana. This is from his album, A Hawai'i Interlude. I know it's not Dry Tortugas music, but Tanya is in Hawaii, and it is underwater, above water, and that goes with Anna's whole amazing piece. So there it is. So makanamusic.com, keep up with them there. Thank you all so much for joining us.